Building bridges between the U.S. and China is really a new way of doing business, and these relationships can go a long way. News 4's Rachel Yonkunas was the only journalist to travel to China with Dothan Mayor Mike Schmitz and the Sozo Group for a 10-day trip. She's live in our studio now to explain how this sets the tone for future endeavors. Rachel?
Reg, the Southern delegation met hundreds of Chinese CEOs, some of whom are part of the Communist Party. They have their suspicions about American business, but they spoke honestly about it. The United States and China have a financial relationship that shapes the global economy, but it doesn't go much further than that. Business leaders say the countries trade, but still don't trust each other. That could be the result of years of miscommunication.
There's a lot of uncertainty and misunderstanding between our two cultures.
People are constantly talking about China, but there's so much diversity that people are not aware of.
Greg Norris is county commissioner and probate judge from Monroe County, Alabama. His small-town heart never dreamed of traveling abroad.
To tell you where I grew up, my last name is Norris, and Rachel, I grew up on Norris Avenue. You can't get any more home than me.
But now he wants to help others open their minds to the Chinese.
I embrace Chinese direct investment just like I would Mercedes, Honda, TK, Airbus. Those have been very, very good for the state of Alabama, and direct China investment will be good for us too.
This new way of doing business, building relationships, sharing similar values.
People in Alabama is extremely friendly and very, very caring for their family, just like how, like us who care for our family.
Might be the beginning of mending a fractured relationship and building a financial alliance. Philanthropist Ronnie Chan explains the world is traveling a new direction.
Mankind is faced with one of the greatest opportunities that our generation and many generations before and after will see. And that is, we have never lived in a time when the East and the West are both relatively successful.
Successful and powerful, but still at odds. The U.S. and Chinese governments have different viewpoints on major issues like foreign policy, national security, and human rights. But when the Southern delegation looked at the people from the People's Republic of China, it felt a lot like looking in a mirror. Lucia Wang is CEO of Northeastern China CEO Club, a club made up of communist and diplomatic elite.
We know that in China and elsewhere as well, we have so many so-called fallen civilizations. So if you don't want to preserve it now, then they are endangered to be lost forever.
If we can install the training and education with that, where they can go with jobs in the future, I think it's going to be a great fit and a great future.
A future worth considering.
If we don't get together, we will increase misunderstanding and we'll all be fried.
This trip paved the road for the upcoming symposium on Monday. Political leaders from the Far East and the Southeast will attend, and Sozo Group CEO Raymond Chang says they have an all-star lineup of speakers.
All right, thanks a lot, Rachel. As Rachel just told us, November's symposium is next Monday, the 11th. Registration starts at 8 a.m. The larger symposium in March is going to run from the 26th through the 28th. And for more information on Mayor Mike Schmitz's trip to China, you can visit our web channel, WTVY.com. And today's For the Consumer. After a nearly 2-week trip to China, Dothan Mayor Mike Schmitz back in the Circle City. He traveled with 3 other Southern mayors to build relationships overseas and ultimately recruit Chinese companies to the Wiregrass. News 4's Rachel Yonkunas traveled exclusively with them to the Far East. She's back to tell us about the trip. Rachel?
Reg, in the past, there's been a disconnect between the U.S. and China, but that's slowly changing as both sides begin to realize they complement each other. The United States and China have a history of uneasy feelings. Most recently, the Pentagon accused the Chinese government of spying. 1 month later, President Barack Obama and his Chinese counterpart, President Xi Jinping, met for a weekend in California. They discussed those issues and built a unique relationship. But has our mistrust grown so far, we lost the chance at diplomatic relations? Truth is, not all of the East feel so coldly towards the West. Building relationships is the first step to bridging the gap between Americans and Chinese. That's the foundation of the Southern Mayor's trip to China.
We're doing it the right way, and we are the right group of people to do it.
It becomes a domino effect.
Spanning less than 10 days and 3,000 plus miles, hitting 6 different cities.
It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for those who don't like bus rides.
I think knowing is the first step.
Meeting hundreds of Chinese companies, touring different facilities in search of the perfect fit.
This hasn't happened before.
Hundreds of new jobs coming to our region.
Building trust, making friendships.
It's not about face, and it's not about commercial, but it's about the real meaning.
And ultimately, securing American jobs through direct Chinese investment.
They'll come and open a business in our community, hire our people, sell their product.
While U.S. government officials address problems at the top, Southern mayors can work at the bottom, building bridges.
I think these kind of people-to-people relationship goes a long way to combating biases, prejudices.
The whole world's changing.
Very impressive and
But they're also
interesting channel.
I'm responsible.
I also toured some schools.
To connect the two most important powers of tomorrow.
And the merging of these two countries starts in the South. Mayor Schmidt says he accomplished his #1 goal, selling the symposium in March. At least 100 more companies signed up for the event during our trip, and tomorrow we'll take a closer look at those business meetings overseas. Reg?
Rachel, thanks a lot. Now, 3 other mayors, as Rachel said, accompanied Mayor Schmitz on this trip. Together, they competed against 5 countries for Chinese investment. To learn more about the visit, though, just visit our web channel, WTVY.com. 1 in 7 children have received solicitation for sex online. Just last month, police arrested a Daleville man on these charges. News 4's Rachel Yonkunas joins us live from our newsroom with some prevention tips for parents. Rachel.
You know, Reg, children don't know our world without internet, and with smartphones, they have more access to social media. That's why law enforcement says it's important for parents to monitor their child's internet activity. Kristen North is a working mom. She spends most of her day around books and wants her children to do the same.
An inexpensive way to get them off the computers and electronic devices.
During summer, it's hard to keep children off the internet, especially on rainy days. In a growing social media world, there's more to worry about than too much computer time. It's what's on the other side of the screen.
Your 8-year-old or 12-year-old could be chit-chatting with a 45, 50-year-old.
More children are falling victim to cyber predators. Last month, Daleville police arrested James Brown for child solicitation. He allegedly arranged a meeting with a minor at a Taco Bell. His bait? Social media.
The age of technology is a dangerous place for people that aren't constantly watching. And our kids are very trusting.
Local police have a team specifically for these cases called ICAC.
That's Internet Crimes Against Children.
They work with law enforcement agencies across the state to catch predators committing these crimes. But ultimately, it's up to the parents to keep their children safe.
You hear the old adage, well, they have their right to their privacy and their own social life. Yes, they do. But it's the parents' responsibility for the safeguarding of their children.
Monitoring your child's internet activity is the surest way to steer clear of cybercrime. North says it sometimes causes friction in her house, but better safe than sorry.
My daughter gets aggravated with me. She has a tablet and I'm constantly checking.
She uses technology as an incentive for her children to dive into more books. Now, there are outlets to help parents tackle these issues. For example, Reg, there's ironically an app. It's called Growing Up Online, and that offers information about online safety.
All great information there. Thanks, Rachel. If you ever feel uncomfortable about what your child is doing online or on their phone, you can contact your local police.